You know, I see things, some things have seen clearly. None of it ever comes with a time frame. In a world of probabilities, I think there's a high probability that this happens. I don't know the time frame, but it is accelerating tremendously. I wish I could answer that question. It would be nothing but a guess. You know, here, I'll show you. I had a painting commission that says it all. I don't know if you can see it. See that? Little by little, then all at once. Right. That is my take on things. It's going to be little by little, then all at once. That's logarithmic decay. You can see the logarithmic decay in society, in our finances, the way the moral fabric of this country, the way we are viewed around the world, the loss of the petrodollar standard, the detreasurization, the weaponization. All of these things are happening little by little by little by little. Bang. When is that bang? Don't know. But if you look, I think people know that there's something wrong. And even if you can't articulate it, you know something's wrong. And I don't know how fast before it breaks, but I can tell you that you don't wait for it to break. You don't wait for your house to be on fire to pay your home insurance premium, and you don't wait until you're on death's door to do your life insurance. And it's one of these deals where I think you take a look at all of the facts and weigh them and say that this is a trend that appears to be gaining steam. And I mean, look, few times that we've spoken, everything we've talked about seems to be happening and accelerating. I'm not a soothsayer. This is the only thing in my career that I've seen clearly, and it freaks me out because I had the courage to, in 2019 and 2020, and ever since, in 3,000 YouTube videos, say this. And it's documented and it's happening, and it scares me. It does, because it scares me how fast it's happening. And I don't see the time when I think about it, and I don't see what happens after it happens. The it or the bang is when everyone in a coordinated fashion realizes that what has been done slowly and methodically is inevitable, and we need to get out of dollars now. And when you realize that everything in this country that makes people feel wealthy is inversely correlated to a spike in interest rates. And it allows us to have a villain. That villain is Xi Jinping and Putin and OPEC. How could they do it to us? That all at once moment, which starts out where the insiders know what's happening, and that's why you see this little by little part, that's where the people blow it off as inconsequential and a nothing burger, and it will never happen. Could never happen here, right? Look at all the things that have happened in the last 3 years that could never happen here. Well, these people, because of its slow, methodical pace, this little by little, they could never think it could happen here, and they blow it off and poo-poo it. But the all-at-once moment, when the collective awareness of the world realizes this is a trend that is happening, and that we are moving away from a country that is immeasurably indebted, over 200 million, a trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago. We will never pay this off. We will either inflate, we will default, or we will find a villain. And I think they've chosen what's behind door number 3, to find a villain, to incentivize. And we've talked about Jared Bernstein before, a man, the lead economic advisor, this knucklehead, he's the lead guy who's just talking into Biden's ear, telling him what to do. He wants to lose the reserve status. Well, what better way to do it than to weaponize the dollar and go sign an executive order to go green, allow the coalition of all these countries to find safety in numbers, and then let the country fall apart back at home. When you talk about the realization that this is real, and people then go from, wow, it's not a nothing burger, and run, that's when it becomes real. I don't know when that is. When is the collective realization? Could be next week, could be 3 years from now. I don't know, but the inevitability of it, to me, is that we are watching a shift of natural resources and of power move from the west to the east. And at some point that will become, I think, evident to the masses. When that happens, that's the it, and that's when it happens. Just like that's the all at once when you go over the waterfall. They are overwhelming the inner cities. They are overwhelming the entitlement system. The left-leaning media doesn't do a bad job. They do no job of telling us what's going on except create divisiveness. And all of this stuff, you can't make it up. Is it too stupid to be stupid? Did we really let all these people into our country? Is our electoral system fair? Do people go up to bed at night after the votes start getting tabulated in November and wonder, are they going to wake up to something different? Is the justice system deploying the justice equally, or is there two-tiered? All of these things you start to wonder. And then look at what's happening to the inner cities and ask yourself, is it too stupid to be stupid, or is it not? Could it be planned? Is this the foundation to incentivize the world, like via the Operation Sandman, dump the dollars in the treasuries, create a massive surge of inflation, interest rates spike to the moon, and everything resets? Dollars, the banks, the insurance companies, the stock market, the bond market, everything. But have no fear, because guess who's here? Lael Brainerd, the number 2 at the U.S. government for economic policy. She worked at the Treasury. She worked under Powell at the Fed. And if somehow this current administration keeps power, she will lead the Fed. And she was number 2 under Powell. And she is a modern monetary theorist. She developed the CBDC while at the Fed with MIT. She ran point for Fed Now, which came out 6 months ago, which is Venmo on steroids, backed by the Fed. This is what she wants. Culling of all the banks, a central bank issued digital currency, print, start over. And the interesting thing I don't think we've talked about is, look at the unfunded liabilities. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, government, military pensions. Who's that owed to? That's us. How about all the treasuries? Who's been selling them? Oh yeah, that's all them. Who's been buying them? Oh yeah, that's all us. The hedge funds, the money markets, mutual funds, and every one of us chasing yield, leaving the banks, buying treasuries. So it's a whole hell of a lot easier to default on us, where only, 20-25% of the debt is owed to them. It's all owed to us. We are so sorry this happened. Just sign on the dotted line. We know you lost everything. Take the CBDC, will make you whole. And this is all about pride and nationalism and patriotism, because they did this to us. So when you talk about, do we fall on the sword and default? Do we inflate, which leads to default, or do we just find a villain? And that's why when I'm giving a talk next month at Rick Rule's conference here in Boca, I was bummed to hear you won't be there. The title of my first speech was going to be, "It's Too Stupid to Be Stupid," but now it's something a little bit more political. It's the same thing. Could we really be that foolish to think all of these things that we've done around the globe and at home won't have consequences? Or are the people not that stupid and really realizing this is how you get to option 3, and that is to find a villain that will make people universally accept a CBDC when the dollar gets forsaken? Now, I don't know if that happens or not. Everything I said up until that point is factual, but right. I guess you just have to let your mind wander a little bit. I would tell you that there's a very high probability that by the end of 2024, it's much higher. It will continue to make new highs. Yeah, gold will, in terms of dollar highs. And look, I think it will go higher than anyone thinks possible. I'll put it to that way. And in particular, if it will be pegged to a new system, whether it be BRICS or West, it will have to be much, much higher. It's funny, if you look at all of the central banks and their balance sheets, gold is held in an account by the name of the gold revaluation account. And you got finance minister or the head of the Dutch National Bank who said we should revalue gold to get our balance sheet in order. That's what has happened here in the United States before, right over my shoulder. And would it happen again? I don't know. But I do believe the only thing that I can tell you out of 34 years in finance is that markets go higher to the upside than anyone ever thinks possible and fall to the downside more than anyone thinks possible. I think gold will outperform just about everyone's expectations because it will be the cornerstone to inspiring trust in whatever new system arises. So higher than anyone thinks possible. What is the time frame? Don't know. I don't see things in a short-term prism. I only look at the inevitability or the big picture. And to me, the big picture is exactly what Zoltan Pozsar says. It's a system that's all about commodities. And because of the distortion on the exchanges that can rehypothecate and sell over and over and over and over and over again the same amount of contracts, we really don't even know what the real price of gold and silver should be. But it's a lot higher than it is right now. I know that. And I would bet that the next time we talk, it will be markedly higher than it is today. Not as any type of reserve asset, because you'll never get the people in charge to allow a decentralized platform, to be. The central bank will not embrace a decentralized platform. I'm not a Bitcoin hater. I've been buying it. I had some interesting discussions with Mark Moss and Natalie Burnell in Vancouver last year, and they opened my eyes to, dipping my toe into the water. And I have been every few weeks. I've been adding a little bit of Bitcoin, and I think it's something where these two camps should be united and not divided. It should not be adversarial. We all see the same thing, and that is problems with the system. The difference is, it seems to me, the Bitcoin community is more inclined to make profits, whereas the gold community is more inclined to keep those profits. That's why there's such a beneficial union between the two, where they're complementary to one another. But I do not see it as playing the role of any central bank system. I don't see that at all. But I do think it has a validity to it, and I think it does have lasting sticking power, if you will. But in my heart, I want to be able to touch it and hold it and feel it. But I don't want to go through life saying, damn it, I knew I should have done that, and why didn't I do it? It was right there in front of me. I missed enough of its run already so that I'm okay just adding a little bit. But I don't see it. Look, all the central banks of the world own gold. They don't all own Bitcoin. I think it is an interesting proposition, but not one that I think will be part of any global system. But it could very well have very lasting power as an asset, and one that still probably has great potential. But I don't think the governments will embrace it.